This is how Harry Potter should have happened. Not with Harry sitting under the stairs, waiting for adults to finally tell him the truth. Not with Dumbledore dropping hints like he's running the world's most dangerous escape room. Not with every teacher at Hogwarts seeing a child in danger and going, mysterious. Anyway, 10 points to Gryffindor. No, this story should have started with one simple thing. Harry asking questions, and people actually answering them.
Picture it. Harry is 11 years old. Hagrid crashes into that little hut on the rock. The door breaks open. Vernon panics. Dudley screams. Petunia freezes like she's just seen a ghost. And Hagrid says, "Harry, you're a wizard." But this time, Harry doesn't just stare. He doesn't just accept the birthday cake, the owl, the school letter, and the sudden reveal that his entire life has been a lie. This time, Harry looks at Hagrid and says, "Who killed my parents?" The room goes silent. Hagrid's smile fades. Petunia's face goes pale. And Vernon, for the first time in his life, has nothing to say. Hagrid tries to dodge it at first. He says Harry is too young. He says it's complicated. He says Hogwarts will explain everything. But Harry has spent 11 years being lied to. And he is done. So he says, "No, you tell me now."
And that is the moment the whole story changes. Because Hagrid tells him about Voldemort. He tells him about the war. He tells him about Lily and James. But then Harry asks the question nobody expected. If Voldemort killed them, why did I get left here? Hagrid doesn't know. He only knows Dumbledore said it was for the best. And Harry hears that sentence for the first time. For the best. A phrase that will follow him for years. A phrase adults use when they don't want to explain the damage they caused. So when Harry arrives in Diagon Alley, he doesn't just buy robes and books like a tourist in a magical shopping mall. He investigates. At Gringotts, Harry asks for the Potter estate records. The goblins bring out sealed papers the Ministry tried to bury. James and Lily left guardianship instructions. Harry was not meant to be raised by the Dursleys. Sirius Black was named Godfather and preferred guardian. The Ministry called him a murderer. But the estate file only shows a sealed decision. Harry asks, then where are the trial records? The goblin answers, the Wizengamot would have those, if they exist. That's when the entire wizarding world should have cracked open. Because the boy who lived walks into Hogwarts not as a confused kid desperate to belong, but as a kid who knows the adults around him have been hiding something. At the sorting ceremony, he still meets Ron. He still notices Hermione. He still sees Draco trying to buy his friendship like it's another expensive toy from his father's pocket. But Harry is different now. He isn't looking for fame. He's looking for the truth. And when Dumbledore gives that twinkly-eyed speech about forbidden corridors and painful deaths, Harry doesn't laugh. He watches. Because why would a school have a death trap on the 3rd floor? Why would 11-year-olds be warned about it during dinner? Why would the most powerful wizard alive hide something dangerous in a building full of children? And by Halloween, Hermione still ends up in danger. The troll still crashes through the school. Ron still panics. Harry still runs toward the bathroom. But after they save Hermione, everything changes again. Because when McGonagall asks why they were there, Harry tells the truth. Not half the truth. Not the brave little hero version. The whole truth. There's something in this school. Something dangerous. Someone let a troll in. And if you don't start telling us what's going on, I'm writing to every newspaper in Britain and telling them Hogwarts can't protect its students. McGonagall stares at him. Ron looks like he might faint. Hermione looks like she's just discovered a new favorite person. And for the first time, the adults realize Harry Potter is not going to be easy to manage. That is how it should have happened.
Harry, Ron, and Hermione still become a trio, but not because they're sneaking around in the dark while every adult conveniently looks away. They become a trio because they all bring something different. Harry has instinct. Ron has knowledge of the wizarding world. Hermione has the kind of brain that makes secrets nervous. Together, they start pulling threads. The three-headed dog, the stone, Snape acting suspicious, Quirrell acting weak, Dumbledore acting like he knows too much. And then Hermione notices something nobody else does. Quirrell is always afraid, but not of Snape. He's afraid of being watched.
Harry does not corner Quirrell. He watches. Hermione writes down the clues: scar pain, unicorn blood, Albania, and Snape's warning. Ron keeps watch, not bravely blocking an adult wizard, just buying seconds. Then they leave. They go straight to McGonagall. Harry does not say, "I think Snape is stealing the stone." He says, "Quirrell was in Albania. My scar burns near him. Unicorn blood is missing. Something is using him." This time, the professors move first. Quirrell is trapped under wards. Voldemort's spirit tears free and escapes, and the stone is destroyed before it can tempt anyone again. Now we jump forward. Second year, the Chamber of Secrets. This is where the story should have become darker, smarter, and sharper, because Harry already knows Hogwarts has secrets buried under secrets. So when he hears the voice in the walls, he tells someone immediately. Not Lockhart, not another student, McGonagall. And when she looks worried, Harry says, "I'm not asking permission to be taken seriously." That line should have changed everything. Hermione starts researching magical creatures that move through pipes. Ron brings up old family stories about the chamber. Harry realizes the voice only comes near the plumbing. And Ginny? This time, somebody notices her. Because that is the real tragedy of second year. Not just the monster, not just the diary. Ginny Weasley was vanishing in front of everyone, and nobody looked closely enough. Ginny admits the diary wrote back. They do not write in it. They do not feed it secrets. Dumbledore says, "I suspect soul magic." Harry opens the chamber with adults beside him. The basilisk is dealt with by teachers, not children. Basilisk venom destroys the diary. Then Dumbledore knows. Horcrux. Harry asks, "How many?" Dumbledore says, "I do not know. That is why we investigate quietly." Not an army, a tiny circle. First, Tom Riddle. Second, Slughorn. Third, the objects he would never let go. Sirius is a separate question. Harry does not keep secrets. But this one cannot become gossip. And Sirius? He doesn't rot in Azkaban until year 3. The moment the Potter will is discovered, the moment Harry learns Sirius never had a trial, the moment the goblins confirm the records are wrong, Harry makes noise. Public noise. The Ministry hates it. The Daily Prophet twists it. Fudge sweats through his robes. But the question spreads across Britain. Why did Sirius Black never get a trial? Public noise becomes a hearing. The Wizengamot finds no trial record. Sirius tells them about the secret keeper switch. He tells them Peter was an unregistered rat animagus. Arthur brings Scabbers in a warded cage. A hearing is not freedom. Evidence is. Public noise becomes a hearing. Sirius says Peter Pettigrew was the real secret keeper. Arthur brings Ron's rat in a warded cage. The spell reveals Peter before he can run. Pensieve memories, wand evidence, and Peter's missing finger finish what rumor never could. Sirius is cleared. Not healed, not instantly whole, but free. Harry still returns to Privet Drive. But now, everyone knows why. Protection required shelter, not neglect. No more locked doors. No more pretending abuse was character building. The ward counts. Then, Harry leaves. Third year becomes the year Harry learns his parents were people. James was brave, but arrogant when he was young. Lily was kind, but not soft. Sirius was loyal. Remus was wise. Both were wounded. And Snape? Harry learns Lily once knew him. The full truth waits. But cruelty is still cruelty.
So when Snape tries to humiliate Harry in class, Harry finally says, "You don't hate me because of anything I did. You hate me because of people who are dead." And the room goes silent. Because it's true, and Snape knows it. That is how it should have happened. Not with Harry worshipping the past, not with Snape being reduced to either monster or martyr, but with everyone being forced to face what they became after the war. Then comes the Triwizard Tournament. And this is where the original story lets adults fail so badly, it almost becomes comedy. A 14-year-old boy's name comes out of a magical cup, and every adult just shrugs like, well, the cup is spoken. No, absolutely not. This time, Harry refuses. He says, "I did not enter. I did not consent. If your magical contract can force a child into a death tournament, then your magical contract is evil." The room explodes. Bagman argues. Crouch insists. Dumbledore watches carefully. Hermione opens a stack of law books and says, "Show us the tournament charter." Then the ministry regulations. Then the underage consent rules. They cannot prove Harry consented. Tradition is not law. So the tournament changes. Harry is not competing as a champion. He is evidence and bait. The tasks are monitored. The maze is warded. Moody is watched. Barty Crouch Jr. keeps hiding behind someone else's face. His mistake is thinking everyone still obeys the old rules. Before the maze, they stop trusting the cup. Dumbledore and Kingsley trace the portkey magic. A counter portkey is anchored to Harry. Cedric is kept away from the compromised cup. Snape stays hidden as intelligence, not part of the visible strike team. If the trap opens, they follow. Harry is not alone anymore. Before the maze, they stop trusting the cup. A counter portkey is anchored to Harry. If the trap springs, they follow. The graveyard scene changes completely. Voldemort finds Dumbledore, Sirius, Remus, McGonagall, Kingsley, Tonks, Aurors, and Harry standing there. The protections trigger too late. A hidden servant takes Harry's blood before the trace can lock on. Voldemort rises. Then the counter portkey tears open. The strike team arrives seconds later. They did not permit the ritual. They failed by seconds. Then they stopped the speech. For the first time in his life, Voldemort doesn't get a dramatic speech. He gets interrupted. The Death Eaters arrive expecting a rebirth. They find a trap. Spells fly. Masks fall. Names are seen. The Ministry can't deny it because there are witnesses. Cedric Diggory lives. And Voldemort returns, not as a secret, but as a hunted man. That is how Harry Potter should have happened. Because imagine what comes next. No year of gaslighting. No Umbridge taking over Hogwarts while the Ministry pretends everything is fine. No newspaper campaign painting Harry as unstable. Because the truth is public. The dark mark is seen. The Death Eaters are identified. The graveyard becomes evidence. And Cornelius Fudge can either act like a minister or be removed like a coward. But the wizarding world still has one huge problem. They love denial. They love comfort. They love pretending darkness is something that happens somewhere else. So Voldemort changes tactics. He stops trying to scare the world. He starts trying to divide it. Pureblood families whisper that Harry is Dumbledore's weapon. The Ministry whispers that Dumbledore wants power. Old families whisper that Muggleborns bring chaos. And now, the real war begins. Not just spells, stories, propaganda, fear.
And Harry finally understands something bigger than survival. Voldemort doesn't only kill people, he turns people against each other until they do his work for him. So Dumbledore's army still happens, but not as a secret club hiding from Umbridge. It becomes a movement. Students from every house join. Gryffindors, Ravenclaws, Hufflepuffs, even Slytherins who are tired of being told their future has already been chosen.
And yes, Draco Malfoy should have mattered more. Not as a sudden hero, not as a forgiven angel, but as a boy raised inside a machine of fear and status, slowly realizing the machine eats its own children. Draco sees Voldemort in his house, not as a legend, not as a symbol, as a parasite sitting at his family table. He sees his mother terrified. He sees his father shrinking. He sees that the power he was promised feels exactly like prison. And when Harry looks at him, he doesn't say, "Join us and all is forgiven." He says, "Help us and start making different choices." That should have been Draco's arc. Not instant redemption. A choice. Then another. Then another. One warning from Draco saves lives. Now the Horcrux hunt begins earlier. Slughorn's memory gives them the missing number. Creature and Regulus lead them to the locket. Bellatrix's vault points to the cup. Hogwarts whispers about Ravenclaw's diadem. The ring is found with caution, not ego. One memory still matters. Hermione finds the question. Harry gets the truth. The memory gives them the number. Then Ravenclaw's ghost gives them the shape of another secret. The room of requirement becomes a crime scene. Now the hunt has a map, not guesses. This time, Dumbledore tells Harry before it is too late. He tells him about the prophecy. He tells him about the scar. He tells him there may be a piece of Voldemort inside him. Then, they try to find another way. Harry gets angry, rightfully angry. But now, the choice will be his. They try to save Harry first. Books, healers, unspeakables, old magic. No easy answer. The fragment is anchored to the scar and to Voldemort's own blood magic. Harry chooses the plan with his friends beside him. He faces death on his own terms. The fragment dies. Harry lives. So you knew? Dumbledore says he suspected. Harry says, "And you let me walk around like a target?" Dumbledore looks older than ever. And for once, he doesn't give a wise answer. He gives an honest one. Yes. That is the Dumbledore we needed. Not perfect, not secretly right about everything. A brilliant man who made terrible choices because he thought love and control could exist in the same plan. And Harry says, "You don't get to decide my life for me anymore." That line becomes the heart of the ending. Because Harry's greatest power was never just love. It was choice. Lily chose to stand between Voldemort and her son. Sirius chose loyalty. Remus chose courage over fear. Hermione chose justice, even when the world mocked her. Ron chose to come back when shame told him to stay away. Neville chose bravery before he believed he had any. And Harry
Harry chooses to live. So when the final battle comes, Hogwarts is not surprised. It is ready. Younger students evacuate first. Of-age DA volunteers choose to stay. Portraits carry messages. House elves sabotage supplies. Centaurs guard the forest paths. Teachers protect children first. Fight second.
Voldemort arrives, expecting fear. But Hogwarts is not afraid of his name anymore. They say it loudly. Voldemort. 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 Every time they say it, he becomes smaller. Less myth, more man. And then Neville Longbottom steps forward. Not as a backup hero, not as comic relief turned brave at the last second, but as the boy who could have been chosen too. The boy whose parents were destroyed by the same war. The boy who learned courage slowly, painfully, honestly. Neville faces Nagini, and this time, everyone sees him. The sword flashes. The snake falls. The final Horcrux is gone. Voldemort feels it. For the first time, he is truly alone inside his own soul. And then, Harry steps forward. Voldemort laughs, but it sounds wrong. Because the whole school is watching. The people he tried to terrify. The children he tried to rule. The families he tried to break. And Harry gives him one last chance. End it. Face what you've done. Of course, Voldemort refuses. Because that is what makes him Voldemort. Not power, not magic, not even evil. Refusal. He refuses love, refuses guilt, refuses truth, refuses change. So he raises his wand. Harry raises his. But this duel is not about who casts the bigger spell. One last piece has to be clear. Draco once disarmed Dumbledore. Harry later defeated Draco and won his wand. The Elder Wand followed mastery, not murder. Voldemort holds a wand that is listening to someone else. Harry understands before the final curse is cast. The Elder Wand does not belong to him. Its path was never the one Voldemort believed. The loyalty he tried to steal was never his. Voldemort casts first. The curse rebounds. No legend, no beauty. Just a body on the floor. And for a moment, nobody cheers. Because war ending doesn't feel like victory at first. It feels like silence. Then someone starts crying. Someone laughs because they don't know what else to do. Someone calls for a healer. Someone finds their friend alive. Someone finds their friend gone. And Harry Potter, the boy who lived, does not stand there like a symbol. He sits down on the broken steps of Hogwarts and breathes. That is how it should have happened. A story where Harry is brave, yes, but not abandoned. A story where adults are challenged, where secrets have consequences, where love is powerful, but not used as an excuse to manipulate a child. Where Hermione changes the world, not just the homework. Where Ron is loyal without being treated like a sidekick. Where Neville's courage is built from the beginning. Where Draco's choices matter. Where Snape is complicated, but not magically forgiven. Where Dumbledore is wise enough to admit he was wrong. And where Harry doesn't win because he was destined to suffer. He wins because he refuses to let suffering become his identity. The real ending should not be all was well because everyone pretended the trauma disappeared. The real ending should be Harry standing years later at Hogwarts, watching a new generation arrive. No hidden traps and forbidden corridors, no children forced into deadly tournaments.
The world changes on paper, not just in speeches. No prisoner disappears without trial again. No child is forced into a magical contract. No forbidden corridor hides a death trap. No magical child is left unseen. A school that learned. A world that changed. No portraits whispering secrets adults refuse to explain. A school that learned. A world that changed. And Harry, finally free from being a weapon, a symbol, a prophecy, or a headline, smiles. Because this time, the children walking into Hogwarts are not being prepared for war. They are being allowed to be children. And that is how Harry Potter should have happened.